Mr. Rayner.
Greetings.
Now, we could, of course, continue a discussion about tea, but actually, I guess that's not why you're here right now. So instead, if you could give an update of the 2110 over WAN activity group, that would be fantastic. And, if people have continuing questions on tea, they can always put them in the chat, right?
Absolutely.
All right, take it away.
Can you see my screen okay?
We do see it just fine.
Wonderful. Okay, I'll rattle through this. So, as I think has been alluded to already, in the world that we're now living in, we've got many different locations where we're actually looking to interconnect not only like a traditional, what I would have called composite video signal, such as 2022-6, but actually we want to take essences, to allow us to do this, leverage the benefits of IP in doing a distributed production. And that could include cloud, it could include trucks, etc. The standards we've already heard about are well maturing, and they actually allow us, they give us the tenets, if you like, of the capabilities that we need within the toolkit. John's already talked about GCCG, and Rick's talked about RIST. The complementary activity group that I'm going to talk very briefly about is 2110 over WAN. And the reason I've put these together like this, not just to give an RGB blob because we like doing that, but because there is quite a lot of overlapping synergy between these in terms of we're sharing the way some things are defined and some things act as feeds into the other work that's being done. But fundamentally, there's two things we're doing within this activity group. We're doing what I call the data plane, which is the actual flows of media themselves, the 2021-10-20, 30, 40, and so on, media flows. And then what turned out to be slightly more challenging than I think we possibly anticipated, how we do the control plane that's associated with that and the requisite processing of that on the boundaries. 3 user case scenarios we're really handling here. One is when you're doing some kind of remote at home, from home production of whatever kind, regardless of what equipment's where. Secondly, if within your organization, you're sharing production and sharing resources between locations. And thirdly, if you as an organization are sharing resources or equipment or whatever, studio floors with another organization. So coming back to that, the data plane. So we've done a whole lot of work. This is a very brief summary. We've got a draft now of TRO 9-01, and we've actually defined lots of different things between that talk about how you actually handle the data plane. Some of these are obvious, like the use of 2022-7. Some of them are essential, but not quite so obvious, like the need to either align your essences or ensure your RTP timestamps fully illustrate or define the differential offset between your essences as you egress the facility or your boundary point. And a whole load of other stuff, which I won't go into. The control plane, we didn't do this first, we tackled this second. Kind of regret that in some ways because it's proved fairly complicated. We're trying to make a generic interoperability in this WAN space in the middle there. We've put ISO 4 registries there. We're trying to make it agnostic, however, to what way you're controlling within your facilities, although we hope people are using NMOS for that. We came up with a scenario which we've been working through, to be candidly, for the last few months, although we only meet every other week or fortnightly, as we say in the UK. So actually, we're up to meeting number 40 now. We've just had that in the last week. So what we've defined here is this DMZ in the middle, and this DMZ exists, if you like, for the data plane and the control plane. And what we've been trying to tackle is arguably a challenging task of allowing almost plug and play resource sharing whilst also having a fully secure infrastructure. And we've reconciled those two things pretty well in where we've come to, and we've actually landed only in the last few weeks on using some constrained elements of the NMOS toolkit as they already exist, specifically 04 and 05, in the WAN side, along with the requisite security elements, to actually allow us to both advertise the sources that are available in a secure manner, connect to them, etc. And again, lots of unpacking. The good news is both with my summary here and the actual workflow in itself, is the end is in sight. So we're actually starting to rattle through actually finishing the drafts of both the data plane, and now we're getting to the point of finishing the drafting of the control plane. So the first main phase of work is coming to an end, and hopefully this is going to give us secure and valid interoperation of both the control plane and the data plane in that WAN space as we hand data off between multiple locations, and that will enable the industry to become even more agile in the way we do distributed IP production. Back to you, Brad. Oh, here's
right, thank you.
and almost forgot it.
Obligatory T invite. I'm telling you, be careful. I will ring your doorbell.